just give a little introduction here. So I'd like to just introduce myself first, because we gotta do that. And we'll introduce Rod. We'll get right into it. And the way that we like to structure this is a little bit of introduction. Like I said, Rod's gonna speak for hopefully a good amount of time. I think we got people from all over the place, literally.
Oh, Rod is long-winded. Awesome. Rod can go as long as you like, so it's all good. I got my Coke Slurpee, so I've got the juice. I'm ready to rock.
Awesome. So we're ready to go. We got a lot of energy. We got people probably going to be shuffling in here as we start up. We definitely have people coming on throughout the time. So then, at the end, we break out into the breakout rooms, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So, Rod, I hope you stick around for that also. But yeah, Ellis, this dude gets me fired up every time too. Rod definitely gets me fired up every single time. So thank you for joining us. Without further ado, just if you guys don't know who I am, Yona Weiss. By day, I spend my time working for the biggest cost segregation company in the country. We're doing tons of projects in all 50 states, helping people, real estate investors, save taxes, save income tax. So that's what we love doing. I have a great job because people love me. I get to save them taxes. So I'm very grateful for that. And, by night, I like to do these kind of networking things. I got a great little group going on Facebook. I don't know if any of you guys are on, found this through our Facebook group. We just started our Facebook group a couple weeks ago. And Rob, we're going to try to take over to be the biggest, the most engaged, at least, Facebook group that there is on the planet for real estate. So I don't really care if there's more people there, but I definitely care that there's real quality. And so far, that's what I've seen. So if you're not a part of it already, I just put the link in the group over there. I'd love for you guys to join it. Rod's group is awesome, and there's tremendous amount of value. I love the fact that Rod goes live in there. Like this week, he went live in touring his property, right? Showing what he's doing in the improvements.
Sharing my pain is what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. A little introduction. Rod Khleif. By the way,
please don't read my bio.
I'm not going to read your bio, but what I'm going to say, I'm going to say is that we actually just released the Weiss Advice podcast this week on Monday. Yesterday we just released the episode with me and Rod. Tremendous value. So if you guys haven't checked that out either, definitely should go over to check out Weiss Advice wherever you listen to podcasts. And without further ado, Rod Khleif, he has owned over 2,000 homes. Okay, I'm not going to say all this stuff. He's an entrepreneur. He's a huge, builder. He loves to teach, and that's really what I connect with him about most. He's built a lot. He's lost a lot. He's built again over and over. He has, hundreds of students who he's trained. Currently owns thousands of units of multifamily buildings, and he's, like I said, he hosts a seminar, right? Multifamily boot camp, which I'm sure give a little pitch on that at the end because that's coming up shortly. If anyone wants to learn from him a little deeper after this call. So without further ado, let's just get the show on the road.
Let's get this show on the road. Okay. Well, for those of you that haven't had to suffer through listening to me talk about how I got started and who I am, I'm going to have to give you a little background, but I'll move through it quickly. So because I think it ties into what I want to talk about today. Yona's cut me off at an hour, so I can't do both the sections I planned on doing, but I will. So if you listen to me at all, if you listen to my podcast, you know that I'm really big on mindset, and I want to just give you a little background as to why. So I immigrated this country when I was 6 with my brother Albert, my mother's Vansha. I was born in Holland, the Netherlands, and we immigrated to Denver, Colorado, where I lived for 30 years. And we didn't have much. In fact, I wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I could get a job. I lied about my age. I was 14. I got a job at Burger King so I could buy clothes. And, fast forward to today, I've owned a couple thousand houses that are rented long-term, multiple apartment complexes, and we bought 1,000 doors last year with our students. And So, you know, I've got a little bit of background in this business. I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but I do love this business. And so as I was growing up, my mom, when I was 14, she bought the house across the street from us for about $30,000. And when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep, that had just gone up $20,000. I'm like, what? Forget college, I'm getting into real estate. So I got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18. And I was actually a broker. I wasn't just an agent. You could do that with education. They've gotten smart now, and you have to have some experience to be a broker now. But I was a broker right when I turned 18, and I was going to be rich in real estate. Well, my first year in real estate, I maybe made about $8,000. My second year, maybe 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000, which back in 1981 was decent money. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3? And I know you guys are here because you want to learn about real estate, but I'm here to tell you that what I'm going to talk about for the next hour is 90% of your success. 10% is the vehicle: real estate, entrepreneurship, business. I've built 24 businesses, and I never call them failures. I call them seminars. Well, I've had 24 of these businesses. Several have been, 3 at least have been worth tens of millions of dollars. The rest have mostly been spectacular flaming seminars, okay? Because, but the point in all of this is the overarching theme is that 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and your psychology. The vehicle that is the 10 to 20%. It's the mechanics is 10 to 20%. If it was just the knowledge, there'd be a bunch of wealthy librarians and college professors out there. It's the do and it's the keep doing. It's the get motivated enough to push through fear and limiting beliefs, or maybe to get uncomfortable. You know, the comfort zone's a warm place, but nothing grows there, right? And so that's what gets you going. And so anyway, so I got into real estate. Like I said, I was going to be rich, and I met the guy that taught me about mindset. You know, in 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. Okay. And that's truth. But there's a punchline. And I thought I was a real estate god at that point. If you do the math on it, it's like $8,300 an hour for the whole year. Okay. And I could barely fit my head through a door. And you know, when that happens, God or the universe will give you a nice little smackdown. Well, that was 2008 for me. I lost that 17 million, a lot more. I lost $50 million in 2008. I lost everything. And I thought I was set for life, and I truly lost everything. And so what I'd like to talk about tonight is the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place, and the mindset it took to get back to the success that I'm blessed to enjoy today. The multifamily, no problem. If you guys want to come see me, I'm doing a 2-day event, July 25th and 26th. It's I'll give you a code, so it's $97. I'm not selling anything. 2 days of training. I mean, full on, full bore training. So if you want to learn this business, I'll tell you how to watch July 25th and 26th. You can buy the recordings for a little bit more, but for under $100, you can come spend 2 days with me, and I will not be selling you a thing. But I want to talk about what's more important, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. What I'd first like to do is I'd like to take you through a process, and I will do this on July 25th and 26th. I do this at my live events. Now I'm, of course, doing live stream. I was supposed to have 700 or 800 people in Orlando in May, and of course that crashed and burned. You know, I'd had sold out live events up to that point, and so we did a live stream event. This is my first one. We pivoted and innovated, which a lot of people are having to do. Maybe you have to do right now, innovate and pivot, because this is crazy times. And so if you look at my website, it's, in fact, I'll put it in the chat, or maybe you can put it in there for me, Yona. It's multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com. If you look there, you'll see me in my backyard recording the video, because I had to pivot, like, hey, what are we going to do? We can't have a live event. And so, and again, it's multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com. And the code for $50 off to get it for $97 is Rod Friend, R-O-D Friend. But anyway, so I pivoted, and we had 900 people to pay to watch that last boot camp. And it was just a resounding success. I actually loved it. But anyway, so let's talk about mindset for a minute. Now, one of the first things we do at my live events is a goal setting workshop. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to give you the highlights of it. Now, if you don't want to come spend 2 days with me, it's cool. If you go to my Rod Khleif official Facebook page, on January 1st of this year, I did this and I recorded it. I did music. There's a free guide you can download. It's all there. So if you don't want, if you're not interested in spending 2 days with me, that's cool. But if you come see me for the 2 days, this is the first thing we're going to do. So take some notes, because guys, how I was able to recover from losing $50 million was getting realigned with what I wanted and why I wanted it. So let me take you through, I'll do this in 5 minutes, but I want to give you the high level overview of this goal setting on steroids, as it were. Okay, so what I want you to do is, and I'm sure if you're watching Yona tonight, you're already motivated, you've done your goals, but trust me, this is a deeper process. And because, you know, how the heck are you ever going to get what you want if you're not crystal clear on what it is, and more importantly, crystal clear on why you must have it, okay? That's the juice. So pick an hour when you have a lot of energy, make sure you're well hydrated, you're not doing it right after a meal, and sit down and write down everything you could ever want in life. And again, if you're going to come spend 2 days with me in July, this is the first hour, because this is the most important piece of the whole thing. You can't get what you want if you don't know what it is. So you write down everything you could ever possibly want, all the stuff, the houses, the cars, the boats, the jet skis, the planes. You take the lid off your brain. You imagine if you write it down, you're going to get it, which I will tell you is not outside the realm of reality. Because what it does, the simple act of writing your goals down triggers something subconscious in your brain that they've called the reticular activating system. And what it is, it's this subconscious filter that you don't even know is happening. It's pointing you in the direction it thinks your brain, the things you need to focus on. It's pointing you into what you need to be focused on. So the greatest example I can give you of this is when you first buy a car. You never really notice them. Then you buy the car and you see them everywhere. Were they there before? Of course they were, but that's your reticular activating system. And that's why writing your goals down and reassociating with them is so important. So you write all the stuff down. Write down how much money you want in a few years from your investments, how much money, in the bank, how much money you want in the bank, say in 10 years. Write down how much income you want from your real estate investments passively in, say, 3 years and in 10 years. So write that down. And you also want to write down everything you want to do in this lifetime. Okay, not just the stuff. Maybe you want to climb all the mountains over 14,000 feet, or write a book, or, write it all down. I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane about 8 months ago. Never do it again, but it's off the list. So, I don't know if there's something you want to do, write it down. Also write down where you want to go. I've got a vision board that's just for my vacations, the places I want to go or the places I want to go again. So write that down. And then also write down what you want to learn in this lifetime. Maybe you want to learn a foreign language or another skill set. You're here to learn multifamily. And again, I hope you'll come see me for a couple of days. I promise you'll be glad you did. But so whatever it is, write that down, what you're going to learn this lifetime. Then lastly, write down who you want to help. We will do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. And so again, this is the fuel, guys. This is what's going to get you going. And so once you can't think of another thing, and those of you, I know Yona's going to track some analytical people. Those of you that are analytical, do not stop and analyze this. Just keep writing. You can always go back and scratch it out later. So once you can't think of another thing, it's now just a dream. To make it real, it has to be measurable. So put a number by each goal, how many years it's going to take you to achieve it. Again, don't overthink this. Put a 1, a 3, even a 5, even a 10 or a 20. Okay, as human beings, we will overestimate what we can accomplish in, say, a year, and massively underestimate what we can do in 5, 10, 20 years. I'll give you an example of this. When I was 18, I knew I wanted to live on the beach, and there's no beach in Denver. And so I would visualize the palm trees and the surf and the sand and, of course, the bikinis. I'm a guy, and I would visualize all that. And what's crazy is 20 years later, I built this. And this is not me bragging. I'm going to tell you some things that I've accomplished. Please understand, it's not me bragging. I just want to inspire you and hopefully get you juiced, okay? That's the only reason I'm sharing this stuff with you. So I built this $8 million, 10,000 square foot mansion on the beach. I had, a beach on one side. I could lay in bed and see the beach this way, and I could see my boathouse and the bay in the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay, magnificent home, which was unthinkable when I was 18. So my point is, do not limit yourself, guys. You want a private island, you want a jet, you want a yacht, whatever it is, write it down. I will tell you, I'll share this with you. I want to either rent or buy a yacht. I'm not kidding. I took my wife and I've been to the Amalfi Coast in Italy a couple of times now. So I know this to give you another clue here. I know this works. So I went to the Miami Yacht Show, This was February, Valentine's Day, right before coronavirus hit. I thought everything was golden for that weekend, and then it's like the world stopped. But anyway, so I went to the Miami Yacht Show, and I BS'd my way onto some super yachts, okay, pretending I was going to buy them, and I sat in the captain's chair and visualized owning it, and I laid on the bed, and I walked around like I owned the thing, because it freaking works, okay? So anyway, I digress. So you put a time limit on each goal. The next thing you must do is pick your number one goal, okay? I mean, that goal that when you get it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. That goal. Put that on a separate sheet of paper. Then I want you to pick your top 3 one-year goals and put them on a separate sheet of paper. So you have 4 goals that you've pulled out, you put on another piece of paper, leave some room in between them. And again, if you join me, you'll have a guide to do this for the 2 days, or if you go to my Facebook page, you can download a free guide and walk along with it.
I hope everyone's writing this down. I hope you guys are writing all this down.
Okay. So you've got the stuff written down. Now comes the important part. And by the way, at this point, you're already ahead of 99.9% of the people on the planet. They come up with a couple New Year's resolutions and forget them by February. So the next thing you must do is you must write down why each one of those goals is an absolute must, not a should. I mean, it has to happen. So I can show my kids what success looks like. So I can show my wife or husband what success looks like. So we can have freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want, bring whoever we want, whatever it is for you. Now, use emotionally charged words. Words are very powerful. You want to use them. Words like amazing, incredible, beautiful, because words will juice you and you want to use them. So you're going to write down a positive reasons why you must achieve every one of those goals. Okay. Once you've got that done, once you've got done, you got to put some pain in there if you don't achieve the goals, and make it freaking painful. So I don't feel like a failure. So I don't live a life of regret. So I don't fail my children. So I don't fail my spouse. I mean, make it hurt. Why? Because as human beings, we'll do more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. This is the juice, guys. This is what's going to get you up early, keep you up late, do whatever you have to do to make this happen, okay? This is the fuel. And again, a lot of us are in comfort. Comfort zone's a warm place and nothing freaking grows there. So, you got to get out of comfort if you want this. And is it doable? You better believe it. You can do it in 2 or 3 years. I've got students that have retired from their jobs. I've got students that have significant passive income in a fairly reasonably short period of time. I've only been teaching this stuff for about 2.5 years. So guys, you can do it. Now, is it going to take some work? Yes. Okay. So yes, you're going to have to learn this. It's going to be drinking through a fire hose for a while, but it's so worth it. But this is the fuel to get you going, because again, it's not about the knowledge. It's about taking action with what you learn. And so you've got your reasons why, positive and negative, and the negative is important, guys. There was a nurse in Australia. Her name was Bronnie Ware. She was a hospice nurse, and she asked her patients that were at the end of their lives one question, and the question was, do you have any regrets? You want to know what the number one regret? She wrote a book about this, guys. It was called The 5 Regrets of Dying. You want to know what the number one regret was? Not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not living up to what I know I was capable of. Guys, we do not want that, okay? Don't fear failure. Fear being in the same freaking place right now that you are a year from now, unless you love where you are right now, okay? Because that's what you should fear, is regret. All right, so anyway, you've got your positive and negative reasons why. Now, the last thing you must do is get pictures of your goals, okay? And I'll give you some public examples of this, because there's a fairly recent one that's kind of cool. I'm always looking for examples of this. The greatest one I've found so far is Jim Carrey. Wrote himself a check for $10 million when he was flat broke, used to go up by the Hollywood sign and look at it and visualize cashing it, and that's how much he made for Dumb and Dumber, okay? I'll give you a recent example. Demi Lovato, 10 years ago, was pretty much an unknown, and she put on Facebook, or whatever, it might have been MySpace back then, on social media, she put, I'm going to sing in the Super Bowl. She sang in this last Super Bowl, okay? So, but get pictures of your goals, put them around you. I'll give you some of my personal examples. And again, not bragging, please know this. So back when I turned 18, I bought this Ford 4-door Granada because I figured I had to have a 4-door car to be able to show houses, right? I was going to be rich selling other people houses. But anyway, so I got this 4-door bone ugly car, bench seat in the front, but my friend let me drive his Corvette. And remember I told you what I did with the yacht. That experiential piece is really important. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So I got a picture out of a magazine. The internet hadn't even been thought of yet. I got a picture out of a magazine, put on the visor of that bone ugly Granada. So every time I sat in the seat, it was like right there. Within a year, I had a beautiful Corvette. A couple more examples. This is back when the TV show Magnum P.I. was out, and the actor's name was Tom Selleck. And he was in Hawaii, I think, and he drove this Ferrari 308. And I thought that was the coolest freaking thing I'd ever seen. So I got a picture of that actual car and put on the visor of my Corvette. I'm telling you the truth here, guys. And within a year or two, I had a Maserati look just like it. Last example. I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini. Okay, I had the posters in my room, in my bedroom growing up. It was a Lamborghini Countach, which is the one Mike Tyson bought matching ones for him and his wife. I think they were married about a week. But anyway, so, and yeah, I had the posters. And what's crazy is my son collected models of cars. And when he was 9 years old, and he had a model, hey, Suvar, good to see you pop up. He had a model of the exact same car that I ended up buying, Lamborghini, black, same model, everything. So guys, get pictures. In fact, I want to share something with you. I got my planner here. I'm really glad I have this. I don't always have this. All right, let me see if I can show this to you. I use a paper planner. Yeah, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. But in the back of this thing, I've got pictures that have been here for 20 years, okay? These are pictures of my kids when they were young. In plastic, you can see them here. Okay, and why do I have gratitude here? Because everything starts from a place of gratitude, guys. It's foundational. I've got a gratitude vision board, one board just for things I'm grateful for. But then I've got pictures of the things that I've wanted. This top picture looks just like the view from my house on the beach. I had travertine floors like that. I had 10-foot high glass like that was butt together. This is before I built the house. What's crazy is Hutch, you were talking about seeing the backdrop behind me. Next time you look at that, you'll see this white wall behind me in my compound where I live now. This is before I bought. I mean, it's just crazy that this stuff actually manifested into my life. And then other stuff, stupid shit like watches. I've got a few $100,000 worth of watches. The Lamborghini before I ever got it. Rolls Royce, Bentley, all stuff that I got. Again, this stuff doesn't even interest me anymore, but I'm hoping to inspire you guys, okay? Because this stuff freaking works. Get pictures, put them around you, put them on your screensaver, put them on your wall, put them wherever you have to put them to be inspired. And even if they kind of go into your subconscious and your peripheral and you don't even notice them anymore, they're still working, trust me. This is how I had 50 million to lose, and this is how I got back to what I enjoy today. So, that's my goal setting thing. Now I'm going to have to blow through some other things. I want to talk about some of the other habits and principles and distinctions that you have to have around success and around mindset. So I talked about the goal setting. The next thing I want to talk about is positive expectation. You have to expect to win because what you expect is what you're going to get, positive or negative. Okay? If you focus on what you don't want, what do you think is going to get bigger? Wherever focus goes, energy flows. So you need to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. You decide what you want and you declare it, and God or the universe, whatever you believe, will conspire to make it happen. Okay? You expect amazing things, you're going to get amazing things. Okay? And so have a positive expectation. I'll give you this example. It's not the greatest example, but I want to share it with you. So I'm a really wide guy. Okay? I work out almost every day and I'm really wide. And so when I go to a boot camp, I want to make sure, and by the way, I never went to college, but I go to a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like boot camps and seminars and things of that nature. Can you give me permission to share? Okay, I can share. Okay, I want to share this picture with you guys. Hold on one second. There it is. How do I share? Okay. So this is a picture of me with holding all the lanyards. I didn't go to college, but there's my education. It's probably $250,000 there. I don't know. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I digressed. I wasn't planning on doing that. But the point is, I go to a lot of boot camps. And so I have to get there early so I'm in an aisle seat so I can pull the chairs apart and I can have some room. Well, I was late to one. And the whole freaking place was full except 2 chairs in the very middle of a very tight row. I'm like, oh crap, all day. And so I get in there and I sit down, and sure enough, this giant woman, I don't know how many pounds, but giant, starts knocking people's books down and walking towards me. And I'm like, oh, good God. And then I decided I'm going to have a fantastic day. And so I looked at her and I'm like, hey, come on here, sit down. And she was so grateful and so fun. And again, that may not be the best example, but guys, when you expect good stuff happens, okay? And so, you know, it was an incredible day because I just decided it was going to be an incredible day. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is fear and limiting beliefs. If you guys, you know, again, join me for those 2 days, I'll drill down on this a lot. But we've all had stuff happen to us. I've had, you know, I got picked on, I got thrown into school. I discovered what bullies were. You know, I couldn't speak English, and you know, my mom thought it would be really a smart idea to send me to school in wooden shoes for show and tell and these leather shorts that the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. And I got my butt kicked again, and I got chased home every day. And my mom thought she'd help me by chasing them off with a fly swatter. So I got my butt kicked again. So I came up, and then I got humiliated on the playground. We all have these stupid crap that's happened to us, but it was really impactful on me. And I came up with this negative belief that I wasn't good enough. Okay. And so, you know, lots of people have these negative belief systems, and I want to just flag this for just a minute, because if you know, maybe it's, I'm not old enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough money, you know, and guys, we have these negative belief systems, and there's a reason the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are BS. Okay. So what I want to share with you is if any of that stuff's popping up for you, even if it's mostly subconscious, when it does, drag it out into the daylight, look at it with your adult rational mind, and recognize that it's BS. And when you look at it rationally and you know that it's not real, it'll start to dissipate. It won't happen the first time, but you do it enough times. I mean, I used to be incredibly introverted. I wouldn't raise my hand in class. God forbid I'd get asked something or humiliated or embarrassed. And, you know, I used to ask myself the question constantly, how can I show them I'm good enough? Okay, which obviously presupposed that I wasn't. And so if any of that's popping up for you, this is how I got past that. Now I speak in front of thousands of people a year. You know, I've come to the realization anybody that would reject me either doesn't know me at my core or has their own BS going on, okay? And that's the truth of it. And so, you know, it took a lot for me to recognize that and a lot of work on myself, a lot of looking in the mirror. A lot of those seminars I showed you the lanyards for, and guys, we are works in progress. We are, you know, learners are earners, and we should always be looking in the mirror. And part of my program, I do high performance coaching, and we, you know, self-actualize on things like, you know, courage and influence and productivity and relationships and mission and purpose in life, stuff that's bigger than the real estate. Anyway, I digress again. I do that a lot. That's why I can't take questions while I'm talking, or we could be here hours. So the next thing is you got to take the first step. Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith and the staircase will be revealed. Guys, you can, and it's the same way with your goals. And it's kind of like the law of the first deal. That first deal, it's always the hardest. I see it with my students. They're like, oh my God, I need a deal. They get that first one, and then they're like dominoes. And the next thing I know, they've got 6. And so, but the first one's the most stressful. It's the hardest. It's the most painful. It's the most fearful. But once you're done, it's like, is that all there was? But you got to take that first step, guys. You can drive all the way across the United States at night, only seeing 50 feet in front of you, and you'll make it the whole way. And again, it's like that with your goals. Like Lao Tzu said thousands of years ago, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step, but you got to take that first step. This life is not a dress rehearsal, my friends. And so no regrets. But you also have to make a decision. You have to decide that you're not going to settle. And when I say decision, the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. You burn, if you're going to attack the island, you burn your ships because you're taking their freaking ships home. You don't need your ships anymore. That's a decision. It's not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of a tap dance. It is done. Okay? That's a decision. When you are committed and you make a decision, you're like a train on a track. You're committed, that equals massive action. And when you're committed, it's no longer a dream. It becomes an outcome. Motivation will get you started. Commitment will get you home. And again, it's not 1 foot in. It's not 99.9%. It is 100%. It's done. And when you're completely committed, you get clarity. You have ownership. And so commitment. The next thing I want to talk about is focus. Focus is power. Focus is clarity. Where your focus goes, that's where your energy is going to flow. And if you have incredible focus, you'll have incredible success. Now, guys, whatever you focus on gets bigger. And right now, more than ever, you guys are all leaders. You have to direct your focus. There's so much crap out there on CNN and ABC and all the news. News is not there to inform us, guys. It's there to scare us. That's how they sell advertising. You've got to stand guard at the door to your mind, okay? Truly only let the good stuff in. I do positive motivational clips every week on my podcast. I hope you'll check them out, even if you don't do multifamily. They're not just multifamily specific, but I do them every week. I really love them. They're called Own Your Power. But regardless of what you bring me, if you bring me in or not, there's tons of great stuff out there. YouTube that'll keep motivated. Stuff from the masters like Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn. You should be bringing that stuff in, not the news crap. I'll glance at the news just to stay on top of what's going on, but that's it. I don't get sucked into it. I don't indulge in it, okay? I don't get comfort from it. Don't do that, guys. Very, very important. Now, focus, back to focus. I will tell you, back in the day, I had, I'm a shiny penny guy, entrepreneur. Oh, wow, shiny penny, start that business. No, start that business. Like I said, I've had 24 businesses that I've started. And again, most of them were spectacular flaming seminars. I mean, I've had several big ones, but I remember in Denver, I had frozen yogurt shops. I had 2 of those. I had vending carts downtown selling ice cream bars. I had carpet cleaning business, and I was doing real estate, and everything suffered because my focus was diluted. And then, once I got rid of everything, I bought 500 houses in that next run. It's critical that you minimize distractions, okay? And minimize your decisions as well. You'll normally notice me in a black V-neck, okay? And I just didn't have a clean one here because I've been here in Shreveport for 10 days. But normally you'll see me in a black V-neck because, again, I don't want decision fatigue. I literally have about 50 of those, and that's what I wear. So that, like Steve Jobs always wore the same stuff. He decided what he was going to make decisions on and minimized decision fatigue. And I do the same thing. It avoids brain fatigue. And I tell you guys, you want to talk about diluting focus. And again, this is me looking in the mirror saying about this is a kind of do as I say, not as I do. Because I'll be watching a movie, and I'm sure you guys do this, and you're scrolling through social media. What's bad about that is it massively dilutes your focus. And again, the more you can focus, the more success, the easier success will be for you. And I want to share something with you. I listen to a podcast, about the only one I really have time for. It's Tim Ferriss. Okay. And I get excited because we just exceeded 8 million downloads on my podcast. Well, I think he's like almost 500 million now. Okay. So, and what he does is he interviews the best of what they do. World-class athletes, the best business people. Ray Dalio, $8 billion. The best of everything. The politicians, the actors, Arnold and Jamie Foxx and Ed Norton. Anyway, I started to notice a pattern. They all freaking meditate. That's a clue, guys, because meditation enhances your focus. Okay? So anyway, just want to share that. All right. Now, next thing, especially in this business, this multifamily business is a team sport. And I will tell you, some of the best teams are the people that play to their strengths. And I'll give you the easiest example is an analytical person. Hey, David, I saw you pop up. Analytical person with an outgoing I've got a lot of my students on here. This is awesome. So the best partnerships I've seen are an analytical person with an outgoing person. I interviewed these kids in their 20s, 3 of them, and they had about, I don't know, $70, $80 million worth of assets between them. They're in their 20s, okay? And it was fascinating to discover every one of those was what the partnership I just described. An analytical person with an outgoing person. Hey, Jefferson. Guys, the thing I want to talk about next is you must play to your strengths. You want to be a success? Play to your strengths. Do not, yes, you can play with your weaknesses, but do not make them your focus. Because if you play to your strengths and you hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses, you are going to get much further faster. When you get two people, like my partnership is Robert and I. Robert's a CPA. He's done $1.5 billion worth of commercial real estate. I can lock him in a room with a spreadsheet and throw raw meat in from time to time, and he's happy, okay? Me, I can read them, but I don't love it, okay? I don't love math. I can read a P&L, I can see the anomalies, I can see where the problems are, but I don't love it. When you do what you love, you're gonna get much further faster, okay? So determine what your strengths are. If you don't know what they are, ask your friends. They'll be happy to tell you what you're good at and what you're not good at. And what your strengths and weaknesses are. My biggest one is impatience on the weakness side. Or you can do an online assessment like a DISC profile or a Myers-Briggs, but you want to find out really, and you may not even be consciously aware of what you're strongest at or what you're weakest at, but I will tell you on the strengths, it's going to be stuff you enjoy doing. It's going to be things that you love to do. And I never realized I love this. I mean, here I am, I'm exhausted from being out in the sun in Shreveport, spending time with you guys. And I truly do this because I love it. And so for me, my wife tolerates me working on Sundays because she knows I just absolutely love it. And that's how we were put on this earth to enjoy our lives, not to suffer and have regret and frustration. So again, and then let me share this with you. If you determine that you don't love real estate, now I will say this, you can associate pleasure with it and learn to love just about anything. Like I say, you equate it to hunting for buried treasure. That's how I look at it. You can learn to love just about anything, but if you can't learn to love this, then for God's sakes, please go do something else. Life is too short, okay? Seriously. All right, now, and this is really important. If you love it, you're going to be passionate about it. Do you feel a little passion coming from me? Do you feel like I love this? Because I freaking love this, okay? This business is a team sport. And for you to influence people, period, in life, really, forgetting just this business, to influence anyone, you're going to do that if you're inspired by what you're talking about. So that's why loving what you do is so important, because when you love what you do, you'll be passionate about it and you'll have the ability to influence people. And life is about influence, especially in this team sport business. Don't think you can do this multifamily game on your own. You can't. Maybe you've done single family. You absolutely can do that on your own, but you cannot do multifamily on your own. It is a team sport. And again, we drill down on this at the 2-day event. If you came in late, I'm doing a 2-day event, July 25th, 26th, $97 if you use the code that's in the chat. And I'm not selling anything, okay? Just come. I promise you'll be glad you did. It's full on for 16, 17 hours. I'll have, probably $1.5 billion and the panelists on stage. It'll be awesome. And you'll have literally about that much in books that you're going to get. Big 200-page manual, all these other resources. It's a no-brainer. It's a duh if you have any interest in this business at all. Anyway, so passion and influence. And guys, when you love this, you're not playing small. And you'll have the ability to influence people because people can feel when you're excited about something and they want to be around that, okay? So discover what juices you and inspires you and make sure you do that. And when you're passionate about it, it breeds your creativity and your innovation. It minimizes or almost even eliminates fear. It's very, very important. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, I'm actually doing really well, I'm moving along here. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is your peer group. You've got an incredible peer group right here, okay? And my warrior group, I've got several of my warriors on this call. That's an incredible peer group. But you want to be around people that lift you up. It's so easy to get around people that through their fear or their limiting beliefs or their love of you and their fear of losing you or their fear of being embarrassed by your success. All this stuff exists, guys, and they'll try to hold you back. And so I want to tell, and sometimes it's family, okay? So I want to tell you, love your family or love these people, but do not let them influence you because who you hang out with is who you become, period. Who you hang out with, those 5 people, you will be like them in your happiness level, in your health level, and absolutely in your financial level. So choose wisely. Do not do this by default. Do it proactively by choice. And so it's so critical that you're around, like Natasha on the call here. She's set up her own accountability group in our warrior group. And lots of my warriors have done that where they hold each other accountable. Because guys, a rising tide lifts all ships. You want to be around people that think what you think is hard is easy. Okay, and they're out there. I mean, they're people that they're out there, and you want to be around people like that because you'll learn so much, and they'll motivate you and they'll inspire you. So do not be around people that are fearful and afraid of your success. And you know who I'm talking about. They're out there, and again, they may love you, but don't let them hold you back, because that's when you'll have regret. So let's talk about habits for a minute. We all have habits, and I'm going to talk about success habits, because your habits will either traject your life up or down. And let's talk about health. In fact, I've had the worst week here eating crappy food, not exercising, because I've been so busy here at Shreveport. I can't wait to get back and get on my bike and exercise. And we have to develop these habits for success, guys. It's so important. And like having a planning process. I take my students, and I'll do this on July 25th and 26th, a planning, like a 15-minute planning process on how to plan your week, so that and this is how I was able to manage 2 large companies at the same time. And I'll tell you, I'll just do it real briefly. You celebrate your progress, because progress equals happiness. So you got to celebrate what you got done. I recommend you journal for a few minutes. And again, I'll do this much longer if you can join me, but you journal for a few minutes. Then you make a list of everything that's most important in your life, so that you can look at it on a weekly basis. And you know what? I may be able to. No, I'm not going to have time. And then you block time from what's most important. You determine what's most important using the Pareto principle, and you block time. And I'm going to tell you, you are a machine when you do this. So even if you're not going to join me on the 25th, I did it on January 1st on my Rod Khleif official page. Just go there, download the guide, and I'll take you through that planning process, and you'll get it. I did it way too fast. All right, but your habits, your success habits, are going to dictate whether or not your success, the things you do every single day. One of the gifts that I give my warriors is a book called The Slight Edge. And it's about those little decisions you make every day. Again, that trajectory your life up or down. My love language happens to be gifts. So my students get lots of gifts from me. And by the way, if you have not read The 5 Languages of Love, get the book. If you love anybody. I mean, if you don't, that's cool. But if you love anybody, get the book. And because you want to give people you love that love in the way they feel it the most, okay? And there's 5 ways, and again, I digress, but there's access, there's touch, there's words of affirmation. Oh my God, you're so beautiful. And that's actually my daughter's. There's quality time, just doing anything. That's my son's. It doesn't matter if we're digging a ditch, he's happy. Help me out here. There's acts of service. And there's gifts. Mine is gifts. I love to give gifts. So my ex-wife, I bought her, oh my God, cars. When I'm saying hundreds of thousands, I'm not exaggerating. Watches and all kinds of crazy stuff. But if I did and she could care less about the gifts. If I did the dishes, it'd be like, oh my God, the clouds would part, the angels would sing. But I didn't know. So get the book if you haven't read it. Very important. All right, so success habits. You think to do this business, to do a W-2 job, to do this as a side hustle, to be the best spouse, to be the best father, mother, to get this side hustle going in real estate is going to take incredible energy. And for that energy, you've got to have habits around health, okay? What you eat and your exercise. So that's an example of what I'm talking about. Very important. Next thing I want to talk about is tenacity. You can't give up, okay? You absolutely can't give up. It's persistence, it's grit, it's determination, it's staying power, it's endurance, stubbornness. I'll tell you, when I lost everything in 2008, I built a litigation support company. I actually built law firms in 5 states, and I supported those. I built the firms and I supported them. It's a very unique model. And we almost went bankrupt in 2010. I almost threw the towel in. But then let me share a success formula with you. I knew what my outcome was, so I changed my approach. Now that is a success formula. If you know what you want and something doesn't work, you change your approach. If that doesn't work, you change your approach again. If that doesn't work, you change your approach again. And rinse and repeat. And that's what I did. And I turned it into a $10 million company with 60 employees, sold it last year. So because I didn't give up. There's even a book about this called 3 Feet from the Goal. So many people give up right before the finish line. So tenacity, I will tell you, will beat talent almost every single time. I think it's probably the most important component of success. I love this analogy. The biggest oak tree was once a little nut that didn't give up, right? That's tenacity. And again, it's keeping your eye on that goal. You know, if you've got normal talent and extraordinary tenacity, you will have massive success. You just decide, you take action, and you don't give up. It's resolve. It's, you know, strength of character. It's kind of like the tortoise and the hare story. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you don't give up. You know, I've got this sign on my desk that says never, ever, ever, ever give up. It's Winston Churchill's quote from World War II. And so very, very important. You know, I'll tell you another story back, back when my first seminar, not the big one in 2008, I had one before that. Okay. I was in a $1 million house. I had the Rolls Royce. I had what else? I had a Pantera, which was really a cool car. Look it up. It's a gorgeous car. I had Corvettes. I mean, all this stuff. Everybody thought I was a drug dealer. I was just really good in real estate. You know, I was always having fun, but I lost it all. Crashed and burned. House in foreclosure. I went from that, you know, Rolls Royce, Pantera, that $1 million house, to painting houses to have enough money to eat. No kidding. This is back in the 80s, maybe early 90s. But anyway, I remember my mom giving me a bag of groceries because she was worried about me. Rolls Royce to mom giving me groceries, okay? So I'm painting a house and I have a freaking meltdown. I'm like, fuck this, and I threw the brush down and I you know, pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and I went out and bought 500 houses in that run. And that's tenacity, guys. That's not giving up. Very, very important. And, you know, I could have stopped, you know, when I lost 50 million, I thought I was set for life. I thought, you know, I had 800 houses in Florida. I had multiple apartment complexes. I thought I was set. By the way, I was at a 30% loan to value. Now people ask, how did you crash and burn? Here's how. I had houses 2 hours that way and 2 hours that way and everywhere in between. Okay. So if I sent someone to one of my apartment complexes that I had, we could stockpile all the parts, you know, all the plumbing parts, the electrical, the HVAC, the locks, the appliance parts, everything, could stockpile them. So maintenance guy could be in and out in an hour, no problem. If I had to send somebody to a house that was an hour and a half away, they'd have to drive there. Every house is different. They'd have to go find a Home Depot or a Lowe's to get what they needed. You know, and if you've ever fixed anything, you know, you get into it and you realize you need something else. And what would take, you know, an hour at one of my apartment complexes took all day at one of these houses. And I had 800 of them. They were C-class assets, lots of ongoing maintenance. That was one thing that killed me. Taxes in Florida are higher because we have no state income tax. That impacted cash flow. I had houses in wind and flood zones. That impacted cash flow. And then I think the kind of the coup de grace, the straw, was most of my residents were contractors, plumbers, electricians, drywallers, painters, roofers, and that fell off a cliff in 2008. So they didn't have to work. So, you know, it was kind of like the perfect storm, but that's how I lost it all. That's truly what happened. And honestly, if I hadn't cross-collateralized my apartment complexes with packages of houses to save a few basis points on interest rates, I still have those apartment complexes. That's why I started my podcast, honestly, was to share. That was one of the messages, was to share that if you're going to buy and hold, for God's sakes, do multifamily. Don't do single family. You know, I'm the poster child for not doing single family. Do multifamily. But anyway, I could probably take a couple questions. I've got two more sections I want to talk about. The first one is failure and problems. Guys, problems and failure are feedback, nothing more, okay? We fail our way to success. I'm a poster child for that. You know, problems are a gift because they tell us what we're doing wrong. You know, only people that don't have problems, frankly, are no longer on this earth. You know, I have Henry Ford made this quote where airplanes take off against the wind. I didn't think they had airplanes back there, but that's his quote. Anyway, so guys, problems make us stronger. Without problems, we don't change. You know, setbacks and shakeups really are wake-ups. And if you're not having any problems in your life, respectfully, you're not trying a darn thing, okay? You're just not trying. I'm just going to throw that out there to you. You know, problems are learning opportunities. And so, you know, I could have easily given up in 2008. I mean, there were people back in the 29 crash that lost less than I did proportionately to jumped out of buildings. So, you know, luckily I was, and I will tell you, this is peer group. Luckily I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership back then. So I was around people that were killing it in 2008. They were thriving while I was dying. And so luckily I was able to see that and associate with it and reassociate with what I wanted. And again, guys, that focus, I want to share something on that focus piece. Remember, what you focus on grows. They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. See the distinction? So guys, really your focus is so important right now with all this COVID nonsense, that you stay focused on what you want. You don't get sucked into the pain and the fear and all that. You innovate, you pivot, you do what you have to do to make this happen for yourselves. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is gratitude. I talked about it briefly. It is the most important emotion we have in our lives, guys. And it is an emotion that will help you achieve more success, because we don't achieve to be happy. Okay? We are not achieving to be happy. You are going to get much further, much faster if you are happily achieving. See, it's a play on words, but it's an important one, guys. Okay? And if you are grateful, you will be happily achieving. Again, we're not achieving for success. We are successfully achieving. Okay? Gratitude lowers your blood pressure. It makes your heart stronger. It brings you closer to your spirituality, whatever it is. You know, I recommend a gratitude journal as part of that planning process that I go into. I'll do it on my 2-day, or you can watch it on January 1st of this year. On New Year's Day, I did it. But you do a gratitude journal. I did this for my wife, actually. I took a leather folder, a leather journal, and every day I wrote in there what I loved about her. Full page. It was about 100 pages. Took me over 3 months to do it. And there were days I did not freaking feel like writing in there because I was pissed at her. But I showed up differently in the relationship because I was focused on what I loved about her every single day. And you know, but even if you don't do it for a person, and then I gave it to her for her birthday, so you can imagine that went really well. And she's got it in her closet. That's like her little spiritual domain, her closet. And she's got it on her thing in the middle there. Anyway, but even if you just journal a little bit of gratitude, some magic moments once a week, that's what life is about. You don't want to forget them, especially if you have kids. Especially if you have kids. And the last thing I want to talk about, because I talked about goal setting, is contribution. So I talked about that mansion I built on the beach, okay? It took me 20 years to build that thing. And again, that was unthinkable when I was 18. So when you're doing your goals, do not limit yourself. So 2 months after I moved in, I worked for this thing for 20 years, okay? Keep that in mind, perspective. 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in the pool. I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, this giant house. There's a big waterfall, wide waterfall coming out of the second floor into the pool. I'm in the pool, it's changing colors, got fiber optic lighting. But I built this house, honestly, to prove to the world I was good enough. That's the truth of it. It's embarrassing to admit that, hey, KK, man, there's so many names I recognize. So I built this house to prove to the world that I was good enough. And 2 months after I moved in, I got depressed in that pool. I got really depressed. I'm like, what the hell? I've just achieved success like times 1,000 and I'm depressed. I was really bummed. This isn't just a little funny, and I couldn't understand it. What I want to share with you guys, this is really important, and I'll leave you with this. I could take some questions in a minute, but is the goals are important, but there were several things happening when I look back on this. One was you should never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it, okay? Because like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You need a vision for the future, and I didn't have that. The second thing was the happiness. Believe it or not, the goals don't make you happy. You'll feel warm for a little while. You know, you get that car, and then it's like, okay, no big deal. What's next? Progress is what makes you happy. And that's why, as part of that planning process I described, you have to consciously acknowledge your progress, because you're going to have setbacks. Things are going to take longer than you anticipated. But if you're acknowledging your progress regularly, you stay happy, because that's truly what makes us happy, is progress or growth. But then the third thing that was happening was I had been totally focused on success, but I wasn't fulfilled. And Tony Robbins calls it, what's he called? The science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. I'd been totally focused on Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. And so luckily, I found one of his books back then. This is 20 years ago. And I Unleashed the Power Within, I think it was. And I went to see his event, and I saw that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. You know, took me till I was 40 to get that memo. I'm embarrassed to admit that. But I came back from that event, and my brother and I decided to feed 5 families. And so we called a church, says, who really needs help? You know, we really want to feed a family. And this was for Thanksgiving. And we found 5 families. And so we got big boxes of food. We found out if they had kids, and we got toys for the kids. We got frozen turkeys. And so the third house changed my life. I go to this house, and there's this woman in there, and she's in one of these shotgun row houses. And it's this crappy construction where you walk into the living room, you go through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which has the bathroom off of it. Okay, so it's not even a 1-bedroom. It's a crappy 1-bedroom. 5 kids, okay? So she comes out. She sees the stuff on the porch. She starts crying. Her kids come out. The older ones start crying. I start crying, and I'm freaking hooked. Well, I'm blessed to say that since then, we have fed somewhere between 75 and 80,000 children for the last 20 years through my foundation. We have done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies for the local children where I live. We've done probably 20, 30,000 teddy bears to the local police departments for their officers to keep in their cars when they encounter a child that's been traumatized. And I am not bragging, guys. I want to instill something in you, okay? And that is, I am now happily achieving because I'm giving back. And I don't care how you give back. And if you're saying to yourself, I need to be successful before I give back, big mistake, because your success will come faster if you give back now. We're given 2 hands, guys. One's to pull ourselves up, one's to pull other people up and underneath us. So I don't care if you help elderly, if you help children, you help animals, you help the environment, whatever your cause is, find a cause. Maybe you're gonna learn this business well enough to mentor other people. Like there's several people on this meetup, from Yona to KK to Natasha to Eric Upchurch. There's so many people here that I know are already doing what I'm describing here, because that's what life is about. You know, I've interviewed people on my podcast that have, mega millionaires, even a billionaire, and I can see more than 1 billionaire. I can see if they're like I was back then, totally focused on themselves, and I feel sad for them. I can't tell them, they have to get it for themselves, but I feel sad for them. Because that's not happiness. That's not success, in my opinion. Success is when you're rounded, you're giving back, and you're balanced. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I can take a couple questions. Now listen, we could have talked about multifamily if Yona hadn't been so strict with his time. I'm just kidding, buddy. But come see me on July 25th and 26th. It's $97 freaking dollars. 2 days of training. I'm not selling you anything. I hope you'll come see me. I promise you'll be glad you did. So.
Oh, that is amazing. Yeah, amazing, Rod. Thank you so much. I think everyone is like supercharged right now. You're inspiring everyone. I hope. If you're not, then you're not. But that's.
I'll give it everything I got. That's all I can do. But listen, I am so grateful for this opportunity to share with you guys. If you don't listen to my podcast, I hope you'll check it out. I love doing that. And several people on this call have been on my podcast. And lots of warriors from my mentorship program on here. It's just a real treat. I'm so glad I did this. I was about 6:30. I'm like, oh God, it's been a brutal day, and I've got to go bring it. But I'm so glad I did, Yona. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for making the time. For anyone who's on the Facebook Live, you can join the Zoom link that's on there. You can get in here. We're going to do the Zoom breakout rooms. We're going to do a little networking soon. If anyone. Check that link there. Come and join us from Facebook to Zoom. Anyone have any questions for Rod? Now would be the time. Put it in, either unmute yourself or put it in the chat box, whatever you want. Hey, oh yeah, we gotta do a picture, because I forgot last week. KK's here, so we can actually pretend that this is KK's one also, and we can get the picture from last week.
Okay, awesome. Let's take a picture too.
Let me get a screenshot on the count of 3. Everyone just smile and say cheese. I'm going to do 2, because Zoom only lets you have like 30 people at once. So we got 50 people here right now. Say cheese. There you go. That's a good one. And we're going to do another one for the second group. And on the count of 3, everyone again, because you don't know if you're in the second group or not. But it's usually the second group are the ones without the pictures. You guys still don't have your video on, but I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much.
Hold my smile. Did you take the picture?
What? No, I didn't take the picture yet. What do you mean? No, I actually did. I did, but I forgot to save it because I did the second. Let's do it one more time. Big smile. Jeez. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Rod, any questions? Please go ahead now.
It can be real estate. I know we didn't talk real estate at all. By the way, I'm at this 403 unit asset here in Shreveport. That's why I for 10 days. Hey, Suvar. I'm at this asset, and I've been
live event
because we're switching management companies. And so, I just did a Facebook Live on what I'm doing here. You can check that out, and what you do when you're changing over management companies and the questions you ask, the things you deal with. If you want to ask me questions about that, that's fine. Anything. I'm juiced now, so I can hang for a while. If you guys have anything. Hi, KK.
Hello, how are you, Rod?
I'm wonderful. If you guys don't know KK, that's a beautiful soul right there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Suvar, did you say something? You were trying to say something. I cut you off, buddy.
When's the next live event? Any big plans for the big?
Oh, I think it's going to be Dallas, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be next year because where can we go? It's crazy until they have a vaccine. I don't want to risk people's lives, and it's painful because I miss it. But I think it's going to be a monster event in Dallas, like a couple thousand people is what I'm anticipating because there'll be all this pent up, want to network. My last event, by the way, guys, was it LA? Where was my last event?
LA.
It was LA.
January.
There were 1,000 people in the I'm exaggerating, hundreds of people in the hallways, like networking. It was like I walked through there, I got goosebumps. It was like there were more people out there networking than were in the event because of course I was on stage, so they're like in the hallway. Okay, when he goes off, we'll come back in. Anyway, I'm kidding, but it was a really awesome networking event. So I'm excited to do it again. What are my 3 goals this year? 2,000 doors. Let's see, what else? Yeah, good question. I don't really have any material goals, except I want to do the 2,000 doors with my students. We did 1,000 last year. I want to do 2,000 with my students this year. But do I like industrial single tenant use? I like warehouse because I think there's going to be more of that with the Amazon dynamic. So I like warehouse. Single tenant use, absolutely. If it's a grade A tenant that is not going anywhere, I know a billionaire that did it with single tenant properties. He would, so what he's talking about is like a Walgreens, and Walgreens doesn't own the location. Someone owns that and rents it to them, and they just basically make the margin between their cost of funds and the rent. And I know a guy that made $1 billion, literally became a billionaire doing that. Any updates on my vision board? Actually, I'm slacking, Noah, on my vision board. I really am. I totally am. I've got the stuff places I want to travel to. Tiffy and I are really, yes, I would invest in storage, Eric, for sure. I'm slacking on updating my vision board. It's a do as I say, not as I do thing lately. But I've got, just let me share something with you. Every morning, I do this. Every morning, I don't have the greatest ability to visualize as I'd like. And so I've got vision boards. I've got 4 or 5 vision boards for the things that matter to me now. I've got that gratitude board. Again, everything starts from gratitude. And then I've got the travel board, and I've got, a board. I want to build self-sustaining schools in Latin America. So I've got pictures of the Latin American children. And then I've got the material things. I got one for the yacht. And then, of course, I want a jet one day, but, the silly stuff. Keep me juiced, How can I better keep the faith to see, though, and put myself out there trying to be an investment sales and mortgage broker when nothing has happened yet? Well, you might have to pivot, Morgan. You might have to pivot. You might have to innovate. Think outside the box, okay? That's what I suggest you do, is to innovate. And that's what I had to do. It's like, what the heck am I going to do? We made all our money from our live events. And I'm like, we can't have a live event. What are we going to do? And so you'll see, again, you go to Multifamily Virtual Bootcamp, you'll see Rod with his phone, yelling at his phone to say, come see me. And I had 900 people at that last event. I had over 700, I think 720 people on the whole time. 16 brutal hours of suffering through me. But no, I'm kidding. We had a lot of fun. I kept the energy up and I had incredible reviews. I don't think I got any negative at all, except my breaks were too short, they said. I did 15-minute breaks. So they said, I got to leave a little more time next time. But anyway, Lika, hi. When am I coming to Maryland? I was just in Baltimore, Leonora. That's another warrior. Am I buying now? We're closing on 2 deals in the next 14 days. We're oversubscribed. I've got a 280 unit in Cincinnati, screaming deal. We can cash flow on that property 65% occupied. Okay, and we've got $1 million additional just in case the just in case fund. So I feel really good about that one. And we're buying one in Atlanta, northeast Atlanta, one of the top markets in the country. Gorgeous. It'll be an A-class asset when we're done. Again, very low leverage on that, and screaming deal. In fact, the management company we're going to keep in place because they've already hit our first year numbers before we bought the place. Our pro forma numbers for at the end of year one, they've already hit. So that's how exciting that deal is. So yeah, yes, we are absolutely buying now. Let me say this, guys. The stuff is going to hit the fan. I'm just telling you. This is 07 right now, okay? We are in 07 right now. Anybody tells you otherwise, it says everything is being rosy and good. Come next year, they're naive. There are going to be incredible opportunities in this business. That's why you're in the right place at the right time. You need to learn this business right now. Build the relationships. Understand how to evaluate deals and find access to money. The beautiful thing about this business is, yes, it takes money, but it doesn't have to be your money. Okay, so that you are in the right place at the right time, guys. So learn this. Buckle down. And you'll have an opportunity that truly could be, and this is not hyperbole. This could be a once in a lifetime opportunity that's coming in the next couple of years, because you cannot have 46 million people on unemployment. I mean, I go in these restaurants and there's so many businesses that are suffering right now and are likely not going to make it once the stimulus money runs out. And they may keep that float till November, but once the election happens, all bets are off, okay? And there's going to be pain in this country. And it's all golden right now. Rents are being collected, but that's not going to stay that way. So very, very important that, you capitalize and be ready when it happens. You have access to money. I like to use the phrase ethical opportunism, okay? Or, what is it? Conscious capitalism, where we're in this to make money, but we keep our ethics and we keep our integrity and we keep our morals. But anyway.
All right. Awesome. Thank you again, Rod. This has been incredible. Always is. Guys, I put the link in the chat over there for the multifamily virtual boot camp.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and use Rod Friend, and the price is $97. No brainer.
Awesome. And so we're just going to break out now. I'm going to hit the breakout rooms. Rod, you're welcome to stay. I know you're a busy guy, but we break into groups of 3 or 4.
I'll stay for one. But then I got to rock. Thanks again, Yona. KK, it's good to see you. Everybody that I know, Jefferson,
good to see you.
Eric and Natasha and Leonore and everybody.
All right. If anyone wants to
Evelyn,
jump off, you can feel the jump off now at any time. If you want to